All right, we got another World Cup game. Today we got Soulwind versus Wanony, and this just happened, so we'll catch up to where the game is going. But let's take a look at the standings. We got Spain with Soulwind representing them. They are currently in second place, and Wanony. Where is Wanony? Maybe I'll use this. Okay, Wanony is coming from Belgium, and Belgium is in a position to definitely make the playoffs. So this is a crucial, important game. Um, so Wanony, they got the really cool avatar that I have a lot of respect for with the armor reach. But it looks like his is like a variant of that. So very cool. He got like some type of ring, and it's Solwyn rocking with the Flutter Mane. Solwyn's team is very cool, it's very standard. You don't really see Dragonite as much anymore right now. So it's cool that he brought that, and as well as the Skeledirge. I know like recent techs from Dragonite, like we've seen like Hurricane Dragonite, maybe could muscle past the taunt or the Tusk. And for Wanony's side, what we see is very standard kind of offensive type team. You can see he's got a Heatran, which Heatran can be very useful for trapping that slow King Galar. Alright, he leads off with Lando, and Wanony leads off with Zapdos. He knocks off a Hurricane into the Slow King. Slow King looks to be kind of like a chilly reception variant. Alright, so he chillies back into the Landers, probably wants to get the rocks up, and he goes for a substitute. So substitute Lando making an appearance here. Then he gets off a very heavy, meaty Earthquake into the Dragapult, and that damage is significant. We don't see leftovers coming from the Dragapult, it's revealed to be Specs. He switches in King Gambit successfully to the Dragapult, doubles back out into the Landers, probably expecting the Great Tusk into the Heatran, goes into Zapdos. Landers sets up a sub. You gotta wonder, is it like Sword Stance? It's Smackdown. So it smacks the Zapdos down into the ground. Zapdos fires off a Hurricane into the substitute of the Lando, and then Lando is going to fire off an Earthquake into the booster Energy Great Tusk. Lando's going to switch out here, probably in fear of the Ice Spinner, but there is a bulk up. Photosynthesis speed, Great Tusk, very, very good Mon. Solon is going to get the rocks up with his Great Tusk, switch out to get the Intimidate onto the Great Tusk, but the Great Tusk does not care. It's going to continue to bulk up and bulk up and bulk up, and it gets a head smash off into the Lando. So we're seeing head smash, Great Tusk make another appearance, but Lando has the Grass Knot to take out the Great Tusk. Samurai comes in and knocks out the Lando with a Aqua Jet. So where do you go from here if you're Soulwind? It's like you gotta bring in Dragonite, or you even thinking about terrestrializing? Like where do you even go from here? Because these top three, you're not really. I guess maybe you could bring in Great Tusk to let it hit. And it looks like we've caught up here, so. It seems like Spain doesn't really need to win this game, but they would probably like to be the one seed. Like, there's always a level of pride when the World Cup comes, so you want to see like your team do its best. So Solon is definitely still going to be fighting his hardest, despite his team, already having secured the playoffs. So Soulwind thinking very hard right here. He's thinking probably about what to go into, how to approach the Samurai. Because right now the Samurai has a big advantage. He does decide to go into Great Tusk, but I don't believe he has like any fighting move. It's probably just like knock off Earthquake. Wanony doesn't want to chance it. He goes right into Zapdos. And Zapdos will probably be looking to get a Volt Switch off onto the Slow King Galar. Okay, instead he just opts to get the Hurricane off. And the Hurricane is doing respectable damage. Like Hurricane into Volt Switch is going to do more, just a little bit more than Regenerator would heal. So that's always damage you can like kind of factor in. But the problem starts to be that, you know, what if he goes for Surf on the switch here into the Heatran? Heatran is at 100%. But Wanony decides to just get off another Hurricane instead of going for a Volt Switch. Probably just opting to just chip this as much as possible because, you know, outside of Slowking, what does he really do? So yeah, Slowking does decide to Chilly Reception out on this turn. But he took a lot of damage. So he'll come back in around 41%. But I know Wanony would probably really like to get in at Samurai and then start firing off that Ceaseless Edge, maybe getting up some hazards. Seems like both players still have their Terra available, so you know a lot of it can come down to what Terras they have and which way they can possibly try to break into that scene. Like Dragonite is such a wild card. Like you never know what Dragonite can bring to the table, as well as Iron Valley. Iron Valley is going to come in with that booster energy probably and be able to kind of quell any kind of sweep that's going on. But the issue would be the Skeledirge. The Skeledirge can then take on the Iron Valiant. So, alright, so King Gambit comes in. It's always a little risky bringing in a King Gambit to the Zapdos because, you know, the King Gambit runs the risk of getting staticked. And Paralysis, even though it's a little bit nerfed this gen, it's still very, very strong because the ability to just not make a turn. Like a turn can be such a difference in the battle. So Wanony decides to just roost up and just play the static game. Oh, the Future Sight. He has the Future Sight in, so that actually was not the play. It was not the play to roost. That Future Sight can be very tricky to remember in the heat of the moment. But yeah, I guess the play was to go into Samurai. He opts to go to Heatran now. He wants to make up a little run. But Soulwind has some switch-ins. Like he still has a Dragonite available. He also has a Skeledirge. And I'm sure the Skeledirge is max Spadef. It may be able to eat up Earth Power. Especially after a Terra, if it's Terra Water. He opts to go to Great Tusk, probably because Great Tusk is faster. And Heatran fires off the Magma Storm, does a hefty amount of damage to the Great Tusk, and it also has to Protect. So the Protect is going to allow the Heatran to get a little bit more chip onto the Great Tusk. But he does not have a switch in the Earthquake. He really doesn't. He has to go Samurai and Sui, but we were kind of talking about how like, Samurai is very good in this game. So to have it take that hit is, you know, not ideal. And the Great Tusk opts to go for a Rapid Spin, and Samurai goes for the Aqua Jet, and the next Aqua Jet will take him out. Will he preserve this Tusk? No, he just gets off the Aqua Jet. And then now he's gonna go into the Dragonite. And this has gotta be where you're prepared. If you're Wanony, like, it's gonna be difficult. Okay, so he goes into Dragapult first. I think the King Gambit was chipped earlier. So Draco Meteor kind of seems like a nice click here. Yeah, King Gambit was chipped earlier, so he gets a lot more damage off onto the King Gambit. But it's gonna hurt not having Dragapult around. Alright, so now he goes out into the Heatran, onto the Iron Head. We don't really see any flame bodies shenanigans, so it's unclear what the Heatran's ability and if it's even relevant. Alright, so Sucker Punch comes out, he gets a little bit more chip onto Heatran, and then Soulwind's able to bring out Dragonite, which is looking very menacing right now. He has to bring an Iron Valiant out, and Iron Valiant uses the booster energy, but it's not even going to need the booster energy at this point. It just needs to be able to stop the Dragonite. Depends on the set. It could also be Encore. Either of them could be Encore. A substitute, and then he goes for an Earthquake. Substitute Shadow Ball, so he's like the Terra Ghost set. And wow, it works out for him because he will now Terra Ghost, Moonblast. Oh, is he like Mono Shadow Ball? Oh, I guess it didn't matter. It didn't really matter what he went for. So we do see the Terra Water Skeledirge. Yeah, it didn't matter what he went for. Alright, he tried his best, but Soulwind just one step ahead in this battle. And Soulwind will get the win, and Spain will continue their climb. Spain is just moving on up. Alright, so great game.